Revelation 7:4 says, "And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel." A big question that is often debated in the church is, who are the 144,000 mentioned in Revelation 7:4? Are they literal ethnic Jews saved during the Great Tribulation? The text tells us that the 144,000 are sealed and that they come from the 12 tribes of Israel. But who are they? Well, let's allow the scripture to tell us. I want to go back to the time of King Solomon, because after the reign of King Solomon, something very important happened. After the reign of King Solomon, the nation of Israel, which consisted of the 12 tribes, was split into two kingdoms. 1st and 2nd Kings tells us much of the history about this split. 1 Kings 11:29 through 39 explains a prophetic message about how God was going to split the nation of Israel into two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom of Judah consisted of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, and the northern kingdom of Israel consisted of the other 10 tribes. History shows us that both kingdoms rebelled against God and were judged for it. The northern kingdom of Israel was judged first, and they were conquered by the Assyrians. The southern kingdom of Judah followed suit over 100 years later, and they were conquered and taken into captivity by Babylon. Something critical that we must understand is the northern kingdom of Israel, the 10 tribes, never came back and never were established. They were dispersed and intermingled with other nations. Think about the Samaritans. They were a product of that dispersion and intermingling. The exiles of the southern kingdom of Judah did return about 50 years later and began rebuilding Jerusalem and the Second Temple. We know this was God's plan because based on Old Testament prophecy, the Messiah would be born from the tribe of Judah in Bethlehem. Here's another critical fact to understand. We get the word Jew from the word Judah. The Jews that were in Judea when Jesus came were from the southern kingdom, which only consisted of the exiles from the two remaining tribes, Judah and Benjamin. The other 10 tribes, they were never referred to as Jews. Hear this. Only those from the southern kingdom of Judah are and were ever considered genuine Jews. Here's a simple way to understand this. Every Jew is an Israelite, but not every Israelite is a Jew. Now, process all of what I just said and think about why this would matter today. Are the 144,000 literal ethnic Jews sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel? If they are, then what happened in 1948 makes sense. If the 144,000 are not literal ethnic Jews sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel, then what happened in 1948 makes absolutely no sense. Here's my issue with this bad interpretation. Many who read Revelation literally claim that the Jews have a right to the land, and that in order for Jesus to return, the Jews had to come back to reclaim what was theirs. Something that leaves me scratching my head based on what I know from Scripture is, how can those who occupy the land today even be considered Jews when most of them are not even descendants of Shem? When we look back at the 3 descendants of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, it's clear that many of the people who occupy the nation state of Israel are descendants of Japheth. I would urge you to look at those genealogies, especially Japheth's, because these people who occupy the land today are actually descendants of his. They are Europeans who migrated there in the 1940s and colonized the land. You see how this would lead me to question what's really going on? And many in the church today have no idea about what I just told you and will likely label me as an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, but I urge you to do some biblical research because this matters. This isn't some secondary issue. This is deception that is blinding many Christians. I close with this. How can anyone believe that the 144,000 from the 12 tribes spoken of in Revelation 7 are going to be literal ethnic Jews when the scriptures clearly tell us that's impossible? Based on scripture, if we take the text at face value, there can only be 12,000 from the tribe of Judah and 12,000 from the tribe of Benjamin because the other tribes are no more. In other words, if we are talking literal ethnic Jews, it will only be 24,000, not 144,000. And just to drive this point home, turn to Ezekiel 37. This clearly shows us more evidence. Ezekiel prophesies that the tribe of Judah and Israel would become one nation, and this would happen through Christ, and this one nation would be God's people based on the contingency of this nation walking in God's ways and obeying his statutes. Sounds more like this one nation is the church. not 144,000 literal ethnic Jews out in the future that will be saved during the Great Tribulation. Could it be that the church is the fulfillment of Israel? You want to know the truth? This is how false doctrine has led the American church to the place we are today. We think about how detrimental this has been for Christians over the last few centuries. Consider the modern nation state of Israel and how many evangelicals blindly support what they are doing, even though they hate Christ. Think about who the world labels as Jews. Are they really Jews? No, not based on what the scriptures say. Could all of this be deception? Could all of this be part of a satanic agenda? Could it be that a false doctrine infiltrated the American church for the purpose of promoting an agenda? Let's be honest, Zionists need Christians on their side. And this is the perfect way to gain their allegiance. Just twist the scripture to make them believe this is what God commands. Bless Israel and you'll be blessed. Curse Israel and you'll be cursed. If what I'm saying is true, and all of this is deception, this means that the restoration of the nation and state of Israel, the pre-tribulation rapture, and the building of the third temple is all a lie. And the doctrine that has infiltrated the Western church in the last few hundred years crumbles to pieces. The Bible warned us about these liars. Jesus referred to these liars as the synagogue of Satan in Revelation 2:9. They are who Jesus referred to as children of the devil in John 8. It is these liars that are deceiving many, and it is time that the church here in America wakes up to it, because it is these liars that are going to lead many in the American church towards the worship of the beast.